Hello and welcome to part 2 of our video tutorial on Race Around Europe. In the first part, hopefully you saw the first part. If you didn't, I would encourage you to go and see the first part because it gives some fundamentals on the basics of how to read the screen and what the screen's made up of. In the first part we ended up at this point because everything's flashing at us and our white arrow, which represents next turn, has disappeared. We know that we've pressed the next turn button, and with our turn we've already said that we can't get to Aberdeen and Galway because they're flashing silver. We could get to Paris. The other thing we can do is, we've got those three things flashing there, is swap one of these travel cards. So anything that's flashing can be swapped here. So if for example we were stuck out somewhere and none of our cards get us anywhere, we would have to swap one of these cards by pressing it. When you have your next turn on this in Race Around Europe, you have to do something. You have to either move to another city or you have to swap one of your travel cards. You can't just do nothing. So what I'll do here is I shall go to Paris by pressing Paris, and if you remember, we said in the first tutorial that unfortunately running in a simulator, some of these messages that are coming out are going to be off the screen, so I will have to pull those down for you to see. So I'm going to press Paris and we'll tap that on the tablet. Now the message will come up nicely white on blue asking whether you're sure you want to go to Paris. Yes, we are, and hey presto, see the next card comes up here. Actually it's been replaced by a one train. You can see your opposition has moved there. And now we have a hazard card which we touched on in the first video. This is a yellow hazard card, which means it affects railway journeys. So flooding on the railway, each hazard will close a route for 5 turns. Okay, so neither you nor your opposition or your opponent will be able to travel along any closed route. If for some reason you're already on a route, let's say a 4-turn boat route, and then a hazard comes up while you're in the middle of that route, you will be able to finish that route. You won't get thrown back to your point of origin or anything like that. So hit continue or press continue, and you can see here a red cross has popped up between Berlin and Gdansk. For 5 turns, neither you nor your opponent will be able to go down that route. So if I look now at where I'm trying to go, I've got Rome, I've got Zagreb, I've got Donetsk. Now, quite fortunately, I have a plane 2 card that will get me to Rome. So that's quite simple. Once I get to Rome, I will need 2 train 2 cards. I don't have any at the moment to get to the next one, Zagreb, because that's obviously going to be the best way to go rather than going around to there and then back. I would expect to go these 2 ways. Now, this is a good point to bring up the ratio of the travel cards here. Now, if we look at the map, we can see the most frequent journeys are 3 train, as in Riga, Gdansk, Minsk, Moscow, 2 train, as in Berlin, Strasbourg, and 2 plane, Berlin, Zagreb. They are the most common routes on the map, and that is reflected in the deck of travel cards. Those are the most likely cards to come up. There are more of those cards in the deck than any others. Similarly, the ones that don't have too many, like the train 1s, there aren't many train 1 routes. The boat routes, there aren't many boat 2 routes, boat 4 routes. They don't come up as often as the others. Now, with it being a shuffled deck, of course, there will be times when 3 boat 4s come up at the same time, one after the other. But that's just luck of the draw. And don't forget, if you get 4 in a row, that doesn't mean there have been 4 in a row, because your opposition may well have been swapping cards as well. So it would go, you have your turn, he has his turn, you have your turn, he has his turn. So it doesn't necessarily mean that there were 4 in a row. It might have been that there were 4 alternate ones. So with that, you can try and plan ahead. Now, if I was going to Lisbon, for example, if that was one of my destinations, I would think, right, okay, plane 1s aren't very common. And not only do I have to go from Madrid to Lisbon, but I'll have to get back out from Lisbon to Madrid to be able to go elsewhere. Now, it could be that I could get a boat 2 and a train 2, but boat 2s are relatively rare as well. So if I'm over here and I know I've got to go to Lisbon and a plane 1 card comes up, I would probably hold on to that. Okay, so it's all about planning and thinking of where your destination is rather than just getting to one city and say, oh right, where am I going next? You may well get to places where, to cities where you think, oh gosh, I don't know which one to go to. I'll wait until I know which cards I get. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move down to Rome. So I'll just hit the next turn button. You can see the next turn button has gone away. We can only play our next turn when that has come back. That white arrow will only come back after he's had his turn and a possible hazard card might have come up. So I'm going to press Rome. Message comes back saying, do you want to go to Rome? Yes, I do. You can see it's revealed our opponent beneath. Oh, he's following us. Now, one thing that we do know, that's a blue hazard card now because that affects a sea route. Karana Galway, you can see that is now closed off for 5 turns. One thing we do know is that our opposition cannot have Rome, Zagreb or Donetsk as destination cities. Again, the destination cities are like packs of cards. We get the top 3 and the opposition gets the next 3, so they cannot be the same. So we know he's not going to Rome because we are. He's going to Rome, but it's not one of his destination cities. When we get to one of our destination cities, a destination card comes up, which tells you a bit of the history and hopefully some interesting facts about that town. When you've read that, simply just press anywhere on this card to make it go. And then you get another message. Well done, you've reached your first destination, and hooray, we're 1-0 up. So we've got 1, he's got 0 at the moment. Okay, press this again. Now we have a choice. Our neighbouring cities are Cagliari, Venice, and Paris. Now the only place we could go to is Paris because it's golden flashing, because we have the two plane card. Now with these 2 players, if one of our destination cities was Madrid, I might say, okay, I know we're only a little bit away from Zagreb, but I've got the 2 cards to go there, so I'm going to go there now. But in fact, in this situation, it doesn't really help us because the only other place we go to is Donetsk. We do have 2 plane cards, which will be there and there. And we do have a 3 card. So in fact, I am going to change my mind here because I don't have any train 2 cards to get me in, and I need 2 of them to get to Zagreb. I actually have a plane 2 card that will get me to Paris, a train 3 card that will then get me to Berlin, and then a plane 2 card to get me into Zagreb. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to press that Paris. Sorry, I didn't drag the message down, just confirming that I wanted to go to Paris. And he keeps following me. That's interesting. So this red hazard one is now up. That means it's affecting an air journey. And that's how we carry on. I'm coming to the end of this second part of the tutorial. And you can see we just carry on doing that. So we're both in Paris at the moment. You will not have any idea of where your opposition is going, what his destination towns are, or the cards he has in his hand. You just have to, sometimes you can guess depending on where he is. So that's the end of our second tutorial. Join us in the third one. Thank you.